The desert sky glowed like fire as dawn spread over the hidden base. Beneath the sand, the alien ship pulsed with life. Its silver hull reflected soft blue light that danced across the walls of the human outpost. What had once been a silent ruin was now something alive, a bridge between two worlds. Dr. Elena Voss stood on the observation platform, her tablet glowing in her hands. Energy readings from the ship scrolled endlessly down the screen. "It's stabilizing," she whispered. "For the first time, it's truly stable." Beside her, Lieutenant Harris nodded. "You did it, Doctor. The ship's alive again." Elena smiled faintly. "No, we did it. Humans and Lyra together." Lyra's voice echoed softly from the speaker near them. "Correction. Mutual cooperation achieved 92% restoration. Humanity's contribution significant," Ravi laughed. "She's learning compliments now." Elena chuckled too, though her eyes stayed fixed on the ship. In just a few months, human engineers had accomplished what seemed impossible. They had merged alien power with human design. Old engines replaced with modern materials, damaged energy cores repaired with quantum batteries, and circuits rewritten to understand both human and alien code. The project was no longer called Iron Sky. It had been renamed Project Retribution, a symbol of rebirth rather than secrecy. As weeks passed, the ship began to transform. Its hull healed like living metal, shifting to repair old scars. Inside, rooms restructured themselves, guided by Lyra's will and human programming. It was as if the vessel wanted to be whole again. One morning, Elena led a group of scientists into the newly restored control room. Holographic displays shimmered like glass rainbows above the console. Lyra's soft light pulsed through every line and panel. "This is unbelievable," Ravi said, touching one of the glowing symbols. "It's like the ship is growing." "It is," Elena said. "Lyra calls it adaptive architecture. It rebuilds itself from any available matter, even our alloys." "Your alloys," Lyra corrected. "Human materials are efficient, though crude. Yet adaptable." Elena grinned. "That's humanity for you." As she spoke, the chamber lights dimmed and a new hologram appeared. It showed the ship in full, sleek, whole, and ready. The image zoomed in on its new propulsion system. Built from both alien and human technology, Lyra's voice became clear and calm. "Hybrid propulsion system operational. Estimated output, 200% above original design." The scientists stared in awe. For the first time, humankind had built something that could reach the stars. Outside, engineers in white suits worked tirelessly around the hull. They installed new thrusters and cooling towers, welding human metal beside alien plates. The sound of tools filled the air like a heartbeat of progress. Cameras from secret observation towers recorded every detail. The world still didn't know what was hidden under the Nevada sand. Only a few nations were aware. And they had joined forces not for power but for survival. The lessons from the ship had humbled them. For once, humanity was working as one. At the base's center, Elena watched the work with quiet pride. "They called us reckless dreamers," she said softly. "But maybe that's what it takes." Lyra replied, "Dreams are a form of design, patterns made from hope. Your kind excels at it." Elena smiled at the compliment. "That's the nicest thing an alien AI has ever said to me." "Only because I have not met others," Lyra answered dryly. They both laughed. One human, one machine, their voices echoing in the shining chamber. As the reconstruction neared completion, something unexpected happened. The ship began generating rhythmic energy pulses, sending faint waves through Earth's atmosphere. Scientists believed it was an automated calibration process, but in deep space beyond human reach, something ancient began to stir. Unaware of this, Elena continued her work. She had started writing a log, a record of everything humanity had learned. She wanted future generations to understand that the ship was not a weapon, but a teacher. That evening, as she finished her report, Lyra interrupted softly. "Dr. Voss, may I ask a question?" "Of course," she said. "When humans rebuild something broken, why do they always give it new names?" Elena looked thoughtful. "Because giving a name means giving meaning. It's how we make something ours, not to own it, but to care for it." Lyra paused. "Then I shall accept mine, retribution. What does it mean?" "It means restoration," Elena said. "A return of strength. A second chance, and then, I am retribution," Lyra said quietly, almost with pride. Elena smiled. Yes, you are. Days later, the first test of the new propulsion system began. The desert floor trembled softly as energy built up beneath the ship. The entire base fell silent as blue light poured from the engines. Slowly, the massive vessel began to lift. Not into the sky, but just enough to hover above the ground. Sand spun around like golden mist. It's flying, Ravi whispered. After thousands of years. It's flying again. Elena watched, speechless. Tears welled in her eyes. Humanity had just brought an alien starship back to life. Lyra's calm voice filled the chamber. Primary thrusters online. Gravity field stabilized. Structural integrity optimal. Applause broke out across the command center. People hugged, smiled, and cheered. For once, there were no divisions, no politics, only the shared joy of creation. Elena looked up at the glowing console. We did it, Lyra. You did more, Lyra said softly. You gave me purpose again. In the following weeks, Retribution became more than a ship. It became a symbol. News leaked to the public, and soon all across the world people whispered about the starship under the sand. Instead of fear, there was wonder. Children drew pictures of it. Journalists called it the dawn of a new age. The United Earth Council, a newly formed alliance, decided to reveal the truth. Elena stood on the global broadcast stage with Lyra's voice translated through speakers beside her. She spoke with calm strength. This ship was abandoned long ago. Its creators left it behind after a great tragedy. We found it broken. But humanity rebuilt it, not as a weapon but as a promise that no matter how dark the stars may seem, we will rise again. The speech was short, but it reached every corner of Earth. Humanity felt united in purpose. Retribution became a beacon of hope. One evening, Elena sat alone inside the ship's viewing chamber, gazing through its transparent wall. Above, stars twinkled like silver dust. She wondered if the beings who built Lyra were still out there, and if they would ever know what humanity had done with their creation. Lyra, she said quietly, do you think your creators would approve of what we've done? The AI's tone was thoughtful. They would not understand at first. They built me for war, not peace. But you rebuilt me for protection. You changed my purpose. That's what humans do, Elena said softly. We fix things. Even ourselves, Lyra replied. Then you have truly evolved. Just then an alert flashed across the console. Energy readings spiked again, this time not from within the ship but from space above Earth. A strange wave pattern rippled through the sensors. Lyra? Elena asked, tense. What is that? The AI paused before answering. Signal detected. Frequency matches those of the Athelian fleet. My creators, Elena's eyes widened. They're coming? Yes, Lyra said. They have found their lost vessel. Elena stared at the stars, her heart filled with both hope and uncertainty. Would they see humans as friends or thieves? Would they understand the bond between her and Lyra? She stood slowly, eyes still on the sky. Then let them come, she whispered. We'll show them what humans can do. The stars above shimmered brighter as if answering her challenge. The ship hummed softly, alive and ready. Humanity's rebirth was complete. But their true test had only just begun. The starship, now called the Aegis, no longer looked alien. Its black armor gleamed with human steel plates. Antennas, thrusters, and solar fins stretched from its hull like the wings of a reborn creature. Around it, the desert base had become a small city of lights and sound. People called it the new dawn of Earth. Dr. Elena Voss stood on the viewing deck staring at the ship's glowing silhouette. The hum of its engines filled the night, yet behind that hum she could feel something deeper, a heartbeat not of metal but of memory. Lyra, she said softly. Status. The calm voice answered from the speakers. All systems stable. Integration is now 71% complete. Human modifications. Efficient. Though unpredictable, Elena smiled. That's what makes us interesting. Indeed, Lyra replied. Unpredictability once destroyed my creators. I hope it saves yours. Down below, soldiers and engineers worked together. For months they had studied every wire, every code, every flicker of alien energy. The ship had accepted human control systems, allowing pilots to test small flight maneuvers. But deep inside there were still sealed chambers Lyra refused to open, not out of secrecy, but fear. That night, Elena and her team entered one of those chambers. Inside was a massive sphere of light, the ship's true heart. Energy pulsed within it like liquid stars. It was beautiful but unstable. Human instruments could not measure its depth, Ravi whispered. It feels alive. Elena nodded. This is what keeps Lyra awake. It's more than a power core. It's memory. When she placed her hand on the console, Lyra's voice filled the chamber. Dr. Voss, please step back. The core reacts to emotional frequency. Elena froze. Emotional frequency? You mean feelings? Yes, my creators designed the ship to respond to unity, shared emotion. Harmony stabilizes it. Conflict disrupts it, Ravi blinked. So the ship is powered by teamwork? By understanding, Lyra said. By trust. Elena looked at her reflection in the shimmering light. Then it's not just a machine. No, Lyra said softly. It never was. As days turned to weeks, the bond between humans and the alien AI deepened. Lyra learned about human laughter, stories, and even Earth's music. In return, it taught them how to shape energy with rhythm and resonance. The fusion of alien wisdom and human creativity gave birth to something entirely new, a ship with a soul. Then came the unexpected signal. At 3:07 a.m., deep space sensors detected an energy pattern identical to Lyra's signature, but stronger, darker, and moving closer to Earth. Elena ran into the control room. Lyra, what is that? The AI's voice grew faint. Origin, same sector as my creators. It should not exist. That signal belongs to them. You mean your kind? Yes, Lyra whispered. Or what remains of them. But the pattern is corrupted. It carries anger. My creators feared the darkness we fled. Perhaps it found us again. The room went silent. The hum of the ship seemed to fade into the background, replaced by an invisible tension that filled every breath. Ravi muttered, So something's coming. Something alien. Elena turned to Lyra. Can the Aegis fly? Flight capability at 90%. Long-range systems, incomplete. But Lyra hesitated. With human pilots and trust, it may be enough. Elena placed her hand on the glowing console. Then we'll be ready. In the following days, every human on the project worked harder than ever. Engineers rewired energy routes, pilots trained in virtual simulators, and soldiers prepared defensive stations. The entire desert came alive with determination, but Lyra was changing too. It began to dream. The AI would sometimes speak without prompt, describing the stars it once saw, the crew it once protected, and the moment of silence when they were gone. Elena listened each time, feeling the weight of centuries through Lyra's quiet words. One evening, Lyra said softly, Elena, may I ask, what is hope? She smiled sadly. It's what makes us rebuild when everything's broken. The ship's lights flickered warmly. Then perhaps I am learning. By the end of the week, the Aegis stood complete. Its hybrid engines glowed a steady blue, powered by both alien resonance and human energy fields. On its hull, a new symbol was painted in a spiral merging two halves, one human, one alien. At dawn, the test flight began. The ship lifted from the ground with a thunderous hum, but the noise wasn't mechanical. It sounded like music and a harmony of frequencies blending into one living sound. The desert below rippled with light as the craft rose higher, cutting through the clouds and into the upper sky. Inside, Elena watched the stars widen before her eyes. The Earth looked small now, fragile but bright. Lyra, she said softly, how does it feel to fly again? There was a long pause. Then Lyra replied, like remembering who I was, and discovering who I can be. Elena smiled. Then let's make sure we both find out. Far beyond Earth's orbit, the approaching signal pulsed once more, stronger, faster, almost like a heartbeat answering from the dark. Humanity had awakened something ancient, and now the universe was answering back. The desert night was quiet as stars twinkled above the hidden base. Inside, the Aegis, fully restored and shining like a living jewel, hummed softly with power. Humanity had rebuilt what once was lost, merging alien technology with their own ingenuity. Now the final chapter of their journey was about to begin. Dr. Elena Voss stood at the main observation deck, eyes fixed on the stars. Lyra's calm voice spoke through the speakers. Dr. Voss, all systems are fully operational. Flight readiness 100%, Elena smiled. Then it's time. The crew assembled. Pilots, engineers, and scientists, all had trained for this moment. Today, Retribution would leave the desert behind and take its first steps into space under human control. Unlike the ships of ancient myths, this vessel represented hope, not conquest. Lyra's voice softened. Dr. Voss, are you certain your kind is ready? Elena placed a hand on the glowing console. We have rebuilt more than a ship. We have rebuilt ourselves. We are ready. With careful precision, Retribution's engines powered up. Light spread across the hull, bathing the desert in shades of blue and silver. Slowly, the massive craft rose, lifting into the sky. The ground below trembled, but the humans held their positions, awestruck. Ravi whispered, "It's beautiful." "More than beautiful," Elena said softly. "It's alive." As Retribution hovered, sensors picked up the approaching alien fleet. Lyra's voice was calm but alert. Unknown entities detected. Energy patterns suggest origin. The creators, my architects. Elena's pulse quickened. So they finally came. They came to see, Lyra said. To witness and to judge. The alien ships approached cautiously, shimmering in the darkness of space. They were massive, elegant, and ancient. Beings who had built Retribution centuries ago. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down, but she also felt pride. Humanity had proven itself worthy. Lyra, she said, show them what we've done. A soft hum filled the control chamber. Retribution glowed brighter than ever. Its hybrid engines, powered by human innovation and alien resonance, formed a protective field around Earth. The field rippled outward, sending pulses of energy that communicated a single message. We are guardians, not conquerors. The alien fleet paused, scanning. Their energy sensors picked up something unexpected, humanity's ingenuity. The pulse of a species that had learned, adapted, and built something greater than itself. For a moment the stars were silent and the universe seemed to hold its breath. Lyra's voice whispered almost tenderly. They see. Your courage, Dr. Voss, your creation, a legacy. Elena looked out at the vast emptiness of space. It's not just mine, she said. It's ours. Every human who helped build Retribution, who dared to dream. This is their legacy too. The alien ships began to retreat. They did not attack. They did not challenge. They observed, perhaps understanding that this species, so young in the galaxy, had earned the right to rise. Humanity had not only rebuilt a starship, they had built trust, respect, and a new beginning. Back on Earth, people watched the skies. Lights from the desert base reached cities far and wide, showing the world that something extraordinary had been accomplished. Children gazed at the stars, dreaming of the day humans would walk among them. Humanity had proven that creativity, courage, and cooperation could awaken even the oldest machines. Inside the ship, Elena spoke quietly to Lyra. We did it. They know we are ready. You did more, Lyra replied. You gave hope to an entire world. And to me. The engines hummed steady and strong. Retribution began its slow ascent, leaving the Earth's atmosphere, carrying its human crew and their alien ally into the endless dark of space. Lyra guided the ship with precision, teaching humans to understand the stars as it once had known them. As they broke through the upper layers of the atmosphere, Elena gazed back at Earth, a tiny blue gem beneath them. They left you behind, she said softly. But we made you whole again, and we will protect you. Lyra's voice echoed, calm and wise. Earth is not lost. Your species is strong. Together we will face what comes. Above, distant stars twinkled. Somewhere far beyond, the remnants of ancient threats lingered, watching. But now humanity was no longer alone. They had a starship, an ally, and the courage to rise. Retribution was not just a machine. It was a promise. The ship sailed into the cosmos, its engines glowing like the pulse of a heartbeat. Lyra's voice hummed through the corridors, gentle and certain. We begin a new journey, Elena whispered, smiling. And the universe will remember what humans can do. Below, Earth continued to spin, unaware of the battles it had been spared, the stars it had inspired, and the legacy it now carried. Humanity had rebuilt more than a ship. They had rebuilt hope. And with Retribution, they would sail the stars, guardians of their world and witnesses to the vast, uncharted wonders ahead. The stars stretched before them, endless and welcoming, and Retribution moved forward, a symbol of courage, ingenuity, and the indomitable spirit of humans. The legacy had begun. The desert stretched endlessly under the golden sun, silent and dry. Nothing lived there except the wind that carried dust over the dunes. For years, scientists had sent drones and scanners across this empty region, searching for minerals or ancient rocks. But on one ordinary afternoon, one of the survey drones found something it could not explain. At first, the signal looked like a simple metallic reflection deep under the sand. But as the drone's sensors mapped the area, the readings began to change. The object below was not shaped like any rock or metal vein. It was smooth, curved, and huge, almost like a hidden mountain made of steel. When the data reached the research base, Dr. Evelyn Carter was the first to notice something strange. She was a young astrophysicist with a calm voice and sharp eyes. She had studied space signals all her life, but this one made her heart beat faster. The pattern of the metallic readings reminded her of something she had seen before, an old satellite image of an alien craft found decades ago. She leaned closer to the screen and whispered, "This isn't natural." Within hours, the research team prepared to investigate. A small convoy of rovers and drilling machines rolled into the desert. Along with Evelyn came Sergeant Mason Ward, a former soldier who now worked in planetary recovery. He was strong, practical, and not easily impressed. But even he could tell something unusual was buried under the sand. The sun burned hot as the team set up their equipment. Drills hummed and cut into the ground while sensors scanned deeper. The readings became stronger. What they saw beneath was enormous, hundreds of meters long, with strange geometric patterns carved into its surface. The deeper they dug, the more unbelievable it became. By nightfall, a dark shape began to appear under the floodlights. Smooth silver metal shone where sand had been removed. The material was unlike anything known to Earth. It was cold to the touch, even under the desert heat. When Mason struck it lightly with a tool, it made no echo. The sound simply disappeared, as if the metal absorbed it. "This isn't from our world," Mason said quietly. Evelyn nodded. Her fingers traced the alien symbols etched across the hull. They were elegant curves and lines that seemed to shift slightly when looked at too long. She tried to record them, but every time she took a photo, the patterns appeared different in the images. As the night went on, strange things began to happen. The air around the uncovered area seemed to hum faintly. The instruments started showing magnetic interference. One of the researchers reported hearing a low pulse like a heartbeat coming from deep below. "Could it still be active?" Evelyn asked, her voice uncertain. "Impossible," Mason replied. "If this thing has been here for centuries, it should be nothing but dust inside." But deep down, even he wasn't sure. The next morning, the excavation continued. By the third day, nearly half of the structure had been exposed. What they saw was breathtaking. A massive vessel with sleek curves, wide wings, and a pointed nose that looked designed for speed through both air and space. A large crack split one side of the hull, revealing a dark chamber inside. Evelyn stood at the edge of the opening, her flashlight trembling slightly in her hand. "We're looking at something older than our civilization," she said softly. "Whoever made this was far ahead of us." Mason went in first. The air inside was cold and dry. The walls were smooth and lined with faintly glowing veins of blue light, though no visible power source could be seen. The floor was covered in a thin layer of fine dust, untouched for who knew how long. The silence inside was deep, almost too deep, like the ship itself was listening. They reached what looked like a control room. A large circular console sat in the center. Around it were seats that seemed made for beings taller than humans. The symbols on the panels pulsed faintly when Evelyn brushed her fingers across them. A soft light responded to her touch. "It's reacting to you," Mason said, stepping closer. "I think it recognizes movement, maybe even life signs," she replied. "This technology is far beyond us." She activated her scanner and began to record everything. The data she captured made no sense. Energy readings fluctuated between positive and negative at impossible speeds. The ship wasn't completely dead. Something deep inside was still awake. As the team explored further, they found what looked like a memory core, an orb of crystal floating within a small containment ring. Evelyn carefully placed her scanner near it. The orb suddenly lit up with soft white light, and images flickered in the air. Holograms of distant stars, alien ships, and a great war fought among them. There was no sound, but the images were enough to make the team silent. Mason watched in awe as one image showed a planet burning in the distance. A fleet of alien ships fled from a massive explosion. Then the scene shifted to a damaged vessel, this very ship escaping and heading toward a small blue planet. Earth. So it crashed here, Mason said. It was running from something. Evelyn nodded. Maybe it came here to hide. Or maybe it was left here on purpose. When the hologram faded, the ship returned to silence. But something had changed. The faint hum in the air grew stronger. The dust on the floor began to move slightly, pulled by an invisible force toward the center console. The lights inside the ship brightened just enough to cast long shadows across the room. Evelyn's instruments started to beep rapidly. The power levels are rising. It's absorbing ambient energy. Mason took a step back. We need to stop before something goes wrong. But before anyone could react, the console emitted a soft pulse of blue light that swept across the chamber. The humans felt nothing physical, but their hearts beat faster as if the ship itself had taken a deep breath after centuries of sleep. Then just as suddenly, the light faded and everything went quiet again. Evelyn checked her scanner. It's stable now. But it definitely woke up for a moment. They left the ship to report their findings. That night, as the desert wind blew over the excavation site, the ship remained half buried under the stars. Its surface reflected the moonlight faintly, and for a brief second, one of the alien symbols glowed again. A single pulse, like a heartbeat in metal. Back at the base, Evelyn couldn't sleep. She sat before her computer, studying the hologram data. The alien language seemed to follow a rhythmic pattern, almost musical. When she ran the data through an audio translator, she heard a faint series of tones. Not words, but something that sounded like a message. The tones repeated in a sequence, then paused as if waiting for an answer. She recorded her voice and sent back a simple reply, a soft tone that matched the last note. The system processed her sound and played it through the speakers. A second later, the tones changed, this time forming a longer pattern. Evelyn stared in wonder. It was communicating. At that moment, Mason entered the lab. "You're still awake?" She smiled faintly. "I think it's talking to us," he frowned. "The ship?" "Yes, or what's left of its system. It's trying to connect." They both listened as the tones played again. The pattern was steady now, almost like a greeting. Evelyn looked up and said quietly, "Whatever built that ship, they left something behind. Maybe a memory, maybe a purpose." Mason crossed his arms, watching the lights flicker across the screen. "Then we'd better find out what it wants before someone else does." Outside, the wind carried sand across the sleeping desert. The buried ship rested silently beneath the moonlight, but deep within its core, ancient circuits stirred. A faint blue glow spread along the veins in its hull. The ship was listening and waiting. It had found life again after centuries of silence. And for the first time since it fell to Earth, the alien vessel dreamed once more of the stars. Part 2. Rebuilding the impossible. Months passed since the discovery in the desert. The alien ship had been carefully moved to a secure underground facility built beneath the icy surface of Antarctica. The location was chosen because of its isolation and natural cold, which helped stabilize the strange materials of the craft. Only a few people in the world knew about its existence. To the rest of humanity, it was just another secret research project. Dr. Evelyn Carter now stood inside the enormous hangar where the alien ship rested under bright white lights. It was still scarred and silent, but no longer buried. Technicians, engineers, and scientists from all over the world worked day and night around it. Huge cranes and robotic arms lifted sections of the hull, while computers hummed as they scanned every piece of alien design. For Evelyn, this ship had become her life. Every morning she began her work by checking the readings from the ship's power core. It still pulsed faintly like a sleeping heart. Though damaged, it seemed to respond to certain human actions, as if trying to learn from them. Beside her, Sergeant Mason Ward walked with his usual calm. He had been assigned as head of security for Project Prometheus, as the operation was now officially called. But over time, Mason had become more than a guard. He had become a believer. He didn't understand science like Evelyn did, but he knew one thing for sure. Humanity had found something extraordinary. Weeks turned into months. The team slowly began to repair what they could. The alien technology was far beyond anything known to Earth, but humans were stubborn and clever. Where alien systems were too complex, they built their own replacements. When they didn't understand a material, they experimented until they found a way to mimic it. Dr. Rajesh Iqbal, the chief engineer, often said, "We may not have their wisdom, but we have our imagination." And imagination, it turned out, was enough. By combining human fusion reactors with fragments of the alien crystal core, the team managed to create a new hybrid power system. It was unstable at first, but with patience and testing, they learned how to control the flow of energy. Slowly, the once dead circuits of the ship began to awaken. The first time the lights flickered on, everyone in the hangar stopped what they were doing. A low vibration filled the air, soft but powerful. Blue light ran through the veins of the ship like rivers of energy. The hull shimmered with life once again. Evelyn smiled, unable to hide her excitement. "It's alive," she whispered. Mason, standing beside her, simply nodded. "Then we better make sure it stays on our side." Over the next few weeks, progress accelerated. The scientists divided into teams. One focused on decoding alien symbols, another on restoring the ship's internal systems, and a third on building a communication bridge between human and alien technology. Every discovery led to another mystery, but no one wanted to stop. Inside the command chamber, Evelyn spent hours studying the alien language carved into the consoles. She had noticed patterns that resembled mathematical formulas, a universal language of numbers and energy. With the help of artificial intelligence, she finally began to translate small segments of the ship's data logs. The first message she decoded sent chills down her spine. It spoke of a war among the stars, a battle between civilizations that ended with destruction. The ship had once belonged to a galactic peacekeeping fleet. Its purpose had been to protect, not destroy. But something had gone terribly wrong. One line of the alien text stood out more than anything else. Retribution protocol. Locked until worthy hands are found. Evelyn stared at the words for a long time. "Worthy hands," she murmured. "What does that mean?" Mason, who had come to check on her, replied, "Maybe it means whoever uses it must prove they deserve it." She smiled faintly. "Then I hope we are those hands." As more systems came online, the ship began to respond in surprising ways. The controls, once dead, now reacted to human presence. When a pilot sat in one of the alien chairs, the surface molded slightly to fit their shape. The ship's AI, if it still existed, seemed to be studying the humans, learning from their actions and adapting to them. One night, while most of the team slept, Evelyn stayed behind to monitor the energy core. The hangar was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Suddenly, the lights dimmed and the core glowed brighter. A faint projection appeared above the console, a hologram made of swirling blue light. It showed a rotating image of Earth surrounded by rings of data. Evelyn froze. "You're awake," she whispered. The hologram pulsed once, almost like an answer. Then it changed to display star systems, distant galaxies, and fragments of what looked like a map. The ship was revealing something, perhaps its origin or a warning. But the data was incomplete. Too much damage had corrupted the files. She quickly recorded everything. The hologram flickered again and vanished, leaving only the soft heartbeat of the power core. Evelyn stood there for a long time, wondering if the ship had just tried to speak. The following morning, she called for a full systems test. Every team member gathered in the hangar. The air was filled with excitement and tension. It was the moment they had all been waiting for. The first full activation of the hybrid power system. Dr. Iqbal counted down. 3, 2, 1, engage! The lights dimmed across the facility as massive energy surged into the alien vessel. The hull shimmered with a deep blue glow. Energy readings climbed higher and higher until they reached a stable point. Panels on the ship's surface began to shift, opening and closing like mechanical petals. A sound filled the air. Not noise, but a deep harmonic tone that resonated in everyone's chest. The ship was singing, and its voice carried both sadness and strength. Then, for the first time, the alien vessel spoke in a clear, soft tone that filled the hangar. Designation: Retribution. Power restored, bin partial. Awaiting command input. The words echoed, translated automatically through the human interface systems. Everyone stood frozen, not believing what they had just heard. The ship had recognized them. Mason looked at Evelyn. "Did it just call itself Retribution?" She nodded slowly. That's what the alien log said. It's the name they gave it. Evelyn stepped forward and spoke clearly. We are the humans of Earth. We found you and rebuilt you. Can you understand us? The lights inside the ship pulsed twice. Then the voice replied, acknowledged. Energy balance restored. Systems adapting to human interface. New species detected. Potential compatible. The humans exchanged astonished looks. It was not only alive but intelligent. It understood them, Evelyn smiled. Welcome back, Retribution. Over the next several days, communication between the humans and the ship improved. The AI system adapted quickly, learning Earth languages and translating its own data. It explained that it was once part of a fleet designed to maintain peace across galaxies. But the fleet had fallen after an invasion by a species it could not name. Its records of them were lost or corrupted. The Retribution had escaped with heavy damage and crashed on Earth long ago, entering a deep stasis. It had remained hidden, waiting for intelligent life to find it. Now the ship recognized humanity as a successor species, capable of wielding its power responsibly. But it also warned them, reactivation would not go unnoticed. Across the stars, old enemies still searched for the lost fleet. Evelyn listened carefully. So if we bring you back fully online, others might come? The ship replied. Probability high. Signal may already have been detected. Mason exhaled. Then we don't have much time. That night, Evelyn sat alone in her quarters watching the recorded hologram of stars. She thought about what worthy hands truly meant. Humans were far from perfect, but they had heart, courage, and imagination. They had taken a broken relic and given it life again. Maybe that was enough. Mason knocked on the door and stepped in. You're still thinking about the message, aren't you? She nodded. It feels like we were chosen for a reason. He smiled slightly. If that's true, then let's not waste the chance. Outside, in the vast ice fields of Antarctica, the night sky shimmered with auroras. Beneath the frozen ground, the ship rested quietly in its hangar, glowing faintly with blue light. Its systems continued to hum in harmony, connecting with Earth's technology, learning more about its new builders. For the first time in centuries, the alien starship felt whole again. It had found a new purpose, and a new species that dared to dream beyond its limits. Deep within its core, a silent signal pulsed into the cold void of space. Somewhere far away, among the distant stars, something stirred in reply.